Hi and welcome to McGunnMedia's Tabletop Christmas Special Edition. In this video we will run through how to take photographs of your Christmas decorations. So in front of me we have an array of props that we've collected over the last month. Obviously Christmas season in the shops start in October, so it's easy to get hold of various props. These cards, or now known as backdrops to us, are from hobby shops that sell these cards for scrapbooking and for hobbyists. And I've just collected an array of cards that are Christmas themed to be able to use here or for your own usage for food photography or for tabletop, whichever you wish to use them for. In our own selection of Christmas decorations, we've got some of these. I'm sure you have very similar in your own Christmas box at home. If not, they are easily obtainable at shops. We have some lovely little angels with bells on, so I'm looking forward to shooting these ones. Alongside these, I have some boxes, and if you've been following us on Instagram, you'll know that these boxes I recently painted to get them into this bright, lovely, or deep red, and obviously lovely Christmas decorations that I'm just planning to take a shot of that inside the boxes. I've also collected a lovely little sampling of materials here, again from craft shops that allow the Christmas feel to come through. And I know that straight away, for example, this one I have here, just bubble wrap, can act as a pillow. I'll wrap it around a few times to cover the bubble wrap, put it inside the box, and then the Christmas decoration inside. Again, just very straightforward props that make up a layering effect for your tabletop photography. Alongside some of these, I also have some shells that were from last year's walnuts in a bag here. I love them because they act as lovely natural decorations in the house, and I know that straight away when I pour them inside the box, oh look, we've got some champagne corks in there as well, that looks great. Inside the box, again, the colours go absolutely magnificently in the box, so I can put a Christmas decoration inside there straight away, and we know that those will instantly go and their colours to match. Okay, so moving on to shooting. Hi, and in this section we will be shooting. So earlier we put together some props. So we put together another box with the shells in, another box with the little blanket behind. I've just tucked in all of the edges of the material so that you can't see them. They're hiding, okay. And we're going to lay them. I've left one box empty, and I'm literally going to lay them in my set. So this is going to be the set. I've already put down this cloth. I'm going to put this one down first. I quite like to have one down. I left this one down first because of the colours of the yellow against the red. It brings a depth to my picture. I'm going to be taking the framing from above, so I'm just going to stack them on top, and I'm going to be taking the photo from above. So you can see what that looks like if I come up here and just give you a little sample of what that looks like. Up here, so let me so you should be able to see exactly what I'm seeing from up in this position, and I'm just looking at my framing and the spacing and everything else, and I might just bring in my box a little bit more down here just because I want to see in the frame that lovely box edge. So I think that's exactly what I will be taking, so I'm just going to switch over and I'm just going to take this photo now. Perfect. So I really like this image, and that's probably the one I'm going to keep. So I'm next just going to discuss with you how we lit this. Hi, and in this section we will be talking about the lighting setup for the shot that you've just seen. So as you can see in this image, behind the boxes we had a Wesco Apollo 28 softbox, and in front of that we had our reflector card, white foam core, on a little arm to secure it, to make sure that this area of our framing brought back in some of the textures that would have otherwise been lost in the dark shadows. Now, my settings on my camera here, I am at shutter speed 1/125th of a second to sync with the flashes. My f-stop, because of the depth of field I wanted, I've set it at 5.6, and my ISO was at 100 to make sure that the noise was kept to a minimum. Now, in order to set the power settings on the flashes, we've used our light meter to make sure that we've got that correctly set up. If you don't know how to use a light meter, there are free Udemy courses by Don Giannatti that you can go and take a look at. So the last thing that we need to do now is to take a photo of our colour checker. Now, obviously, we need to take a photo of this in exactly the same place and framing to catch the light in exactly the same way that the original photograph was taken. So I'm going to put that on top, and I'm going to try and keep it as flat as possible. And I'm going to try and now take that photo from above to get all of this colour to later on sync it in post. Hi, and welcome to Tabletop Photography Christmas Special Edition. Just in this section we're going to go through how to process this file. So the image that you see currently is exactly the image that we'd previously taken, raw from camera. We've done nothing to it as yet. So I'm going to select the files using Control All. This is in Lightroom in grid mode. I'm then going to make sure that I press Control click inside the photo that I wish to process all of them from. So I'm going to go into the Develop module by clicking D, and whilst this process is in, we're going to come down here and click onto Auto Sync. This allows all of the photos that I clicked into in the grid mode now to be processed simultaneously. So it allows the settings that I put on this one to be applied to all of the other ones. And the first thing I'm going to do is go to our camera calibration. These are settings that I already have installed into the settings. There are courses on Udemy of how to do this, so for the Lightroom colour card, so feel free to look those up. And I'm just going to go up to the top into Basic tab. To set my white balance, I'm going to click onto the eyedropper, onto the grey card, click back and back out of Auto Sync to make sure that the selection is now undone, so that anything now that I do further is only going to be done to this one. So I'm going to come out of the Develop module back into the grid mode. So now this is the image that I think I would wish to process for the final image, because I like, if I click into full screen, you can see here, I like seeing this little I like seeing here all of the shells on the contrast of the colours. So I'm going to now take us back into the grid mode by G, and if I click into there and press keyboard shortcut D, that will take me into my Develop module. So once I'm in my Develop module, I will just run through very quickly some of the processes that I do. From the start, in the basic tab, I will just come down here to lens correction. I'm just going to click on all of the lens corrections, and I'm going to then go into the profile to make sure that the name of the lens that we're adjusting for is in fact the lens that we were using, and it's a 50mm f1.8, so that's fine. I'm then going to go into the basic tab at the top, and I'm just going to run through some of the process very quickly. I like a little bit of contrast. As you can see, contrast affects it pushes the blacks blacker and the whites whiter on your histogram. And I quite like to separate them out, especially because you've got this beautiful white porcelain here, so obviously we need that to come out and be the hero of the shot. So I'm going to pop that up. I'm going to just possibly bump exposure just a tiny bit just to bring back some of this. Highlights on this, I'm going to just push it down just slightly just to bring some of the shadows back on here. Shadows, generally you normally push shadows up to bring some of the details back here, which I'm going to leave it about there. Whites, I'm quite happy just a tiny bit push to the right there, and then blacks, I always like to push my blacks down a bit. It's a contrast thing, and this is where your visual aesthetic will come in. What pleases you, what you like to see, will play a big part in how you wish to process something. Now the clarity affects your mid-tones, and I'm just going to punch a little bit of clarity in. You can get away with punching a lot more clarity on tabletop than you can on, say, for instance, if you were processing people or faces, because things and objects appreciate a bit more punch, a bit more clarity of seeing all of the details coming out at you. And I'm quite happy with that. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put a tiny vignette on, just only a tiny bit there, just to make it a little bit framed and draw your eye into this area. Now I can see here that there's a tiny bit of light area in the top, so I'm going to click into my graduated filter, bring my graduated filter down and make it rest on a place where the gradient lines can blend in onto the box, and I'm just going to push the exposure down just slightly, perhaps even highlights just slightly as well. There we go. Might even bring that down just slightly bit more so that it looks like it's a natural blending in. So you can pop this on and off to see what the change has done for you, and I'm quite happy with that. It brings my eye back into the middle of the frame. So I'm going to close that now, and this is what I would then consider to be my final image. I hope that you've enjoyed our Christmas special. If you wish to see more of how we process, or how we go through the process from start to finish, we do have another tabletop photography course on Udemy. We look forward to hearing from you soon.